Welcome to Discuss and Discover. I am your host, Jordan Campbell. For today's show, we will be discussing Caribbean cultural identity and how pervasive it is in Caribbean media. In other words, is there a Caribbean identity and is it evident in Caribbean media? And so to execute this, we will be interviewing two regional students as a way to boost our understanding on the topic. Join me later in studio. All right, so today we're here with Thandi, and Thandi is from Trinidad, right? All right, so Thandi, tell me a little bit more about you, your major. Tell me about Trinidad, growing up in Trinidad, and your family.
Okay, so I study medical sciences in the MBBS course, and I am 19. A little bit about me. I guess I have one sibling and I have two lovely German Shepherds at home. Growing up in Trinidad, I mean, it's very full of obviously culture, like food mainly, many different types of foods and cultures. So that's very, I guess, a benefit because you get a little bit of everything from everywhere.
Okay, so we're getting into the nitty-gritty of things. So certain points throughout the year, where countries, they tend to keep different events or celebrate different things, and they have certain traditions as well, right? So they promote this through our media. For example, here in Jamaica, we normally have an event that is kept every August in St. Anne. It's kept at a civil great house. That's where the slaves were and all of that. And every year they basically go up there. They do a lot of Jankuna dancing, and culture is promoted, and you can go ahead and see this happening on TV. So this is how it's promoted through our media. So what I want to know is that, does your country have certain events that they promote on media and stuff like that?
Definitely. So obviously the biggest one is Carnival. So that's also, you can go see it live, but mainly it's streamed for the whole 2 days from beginning to end. So you get to see a little bit of everything in the Savannah, Juve on the morning, and then down to Mardi Gras. Then we also have Emancipation, like there's a whole village and they take you through that. So many people who sell like ethnic wear and different trinkets like that, they get to sell things for the first time in the year, and everybody goes out and celebrates, and it's a whole big event.
Yeah, this is a way to promote your culture and all of
Definitely.
that. Wow, that's great. So with what we just discussed, do you think that media in your country represents these celebrations or traditions well?
Definitely. It's not only at those times of celebration that they promote our culture, but on a day-to-day basis, you can go on and the ads reflect either a past carnival or a current carnival that you're seeing, or even different places. So especially on this channel called Trinity TV, if you go on there, you see definitely different places like hiking spots and even churches, anything. So on a day-to-day basis, always there.
Okay. So in Jamaica, I believe that our media represents our culture in various areas, really and truly. For example, in October, when we celebrate National Heroes Month, we portray or we show a lot of things, based on what the heroes would have done throughout that month. And I believe this is a way of promoting our culture as well. For example, Marcus Garvey, and his intention to bring the blacks together, making a united Africa, all of these things, I believe that, it would have been portrayed during that time.
Yeah.
All right. So we know that media on a whole plays a vital role in promoting our culture and preserving our identity as well. In your case, do you think that your country incorporates local Creole or anything of the sort, in its media, or it's just standard English?
Oh no, we have a bunch of shows that showcase our Creole. Not really so much the French Creole that we would have, but definitely the Trini parlance is in there. it has a mix of standard English, but mostly that's for the news. Anything else tends to be in our local tongue.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, in one of the texts prescribed for this course, come 1001, I believe it was Joseph Farquharson who spoke about Jamaican. He highlighted Jamaican Creole in his article, and he was saying that in certain commercials, what we might do, we might have Jamaican Creole in the commercial, but for important points or various points that we want to get across in these commercials, we use standardized English. For example, visit us at, or please call us at. These things are normally standard English, but for other things, that are, just to get the point across of the commercial, they use Jamaican Creole. Now, with that being said, how well does the media in your country include the use of native language in commercials?
I think there's a very good mix between standard English and Creole, because on the radio, if they're promoting something about, let's say, Johnny Q's tools, that's not going to be in standard English. But if they're talking to you about healthcare and certain things like that, just to kind of ensure that everybody understands, they tend to move to standard English. But there's a very good variety between the two.
Interesting. What is Johnny Q's tools?
It's a very, very big tool store they're known for having almost everything. If you need a screwdriver, this or that, they have it.
So that's like a Total Tools in Jamaica. Okay, I understand. Do you think that print media, in terms of newspaper or literature books, or even books that children use in school in Trinidad, do you think that they showcase the Caribbean culture enough?
For school, definitely, because it's targeted towards ensuring that we remain and we maintain our Caribbean identity. So they teach you things, and the language that we're reading is our language, our own culture. So you see it within the literature and in the text. Outside of that, newspaper, it would talk about the different day-to-day activities, and within that you see a little bit of culture, but that is more westernized within like language and the formatting and stuff like that. But
we know that within newspapers they typically include a lot of international stories, but I think it's also imperative for us to have cultural things in there that can promote our identity as a Caribbean and as a whole, right? So in Jamaica, they used to have something that is called Children's Own. I hear that they stopped producing it, which I think they need to get back to, because with the Children's Own, it used to be a form of print media in the form of a newspaper that students in school, they used to get it and they read from it. There are various activities in there that promote our cultural identity. It promotes a lot of things Jamaican wise, and I think this is good for us retaining our cultural identity as a whole as well. And I believe it's my last question for you. If you could suggest one thing to better promote the media in your country, what would you suggest?
These days we're getting into a lot of social media apps. I think that they could use that platform a little bit better to promote the things that we have. So right now, most of our national news pages like TTT and stuff, they don't use the platform as well. It's mostly fake news, I guess, that is taking over. So I think they could get in front of that to promote themselves a little bit better, promote the culture, do different sections to show our culture along with the news, and I think that would skyrocket the reviews.
I think that's a great idea as well, because everybody is currently on, well, most persons that I know about, they're currently on social media, and this is a great way to promote our culture. It's a great way to promote and make our identity as a Caribbean stay, relative and still important. So with all of these things, I do think that that's a great idea to suggest to the government for them, or media on a whole, to use social media more, somewhat to get their points across. I just want to say thank you so much for joining me here on Discuss and Discover. We learned about culture, we learned about, languages and how the current situation is in our respective countries. And I just want to thank you very much for joining me.
No problem.
After this, we have another interviewer or interviewee and or guest, better yet said, that is also from, I believe, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and he will be talking to us more about these said issues. So stay tuned. We will return in a few. Is there a Caribbean identity, and is it evident in Caribbean media? Welcome back to Discuss and Discover. I am your host, Jordan Campbell. Joining me in studio is our second and final guest for tonight, Joshua. Alright, welcome back, and in studio we have
Joshua Joseph.
Alright, and Joshua, which country are you from? In fact, before we go there, sir, Joshua will be telling us about the atmosphere that is built around the media in this country that portrays Caribbean identity and his culture. So Joshua, tell me about you, tell me what you study, and tell me about the country you're from.
Well, I'm from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and I study geoscience. My country is a small country with multiple islands and keys, 32 to be exact.
What about your family?
I live with my mom, dad, and my sister.
Okay. Getting into what really come here to discuss. So, do you think that the media in your country truly represents traditions and culture?
I would say yes and no. Yes, because the media shows traditional stuff like carnival, for example, and but no, because it doesn't really show how that came about and our history and stuff like that.
Okay, that's really good. I should think Saint Vincent, sorry, and the Grenadines is a developing country. What role does media play in the development of your country? Do you believe that it educates and informs people enough about the things there?
Um, Not to the extent that I would want, because when I came here to Jamaica, there are a lot of people who didn't know about St. Vincent. So I think that it's not portrayed enough.
Okay, alright. So you see here in Jamaica, they use media to promote environmental awareness and sustainability. And this is a way in which media can play a role in a developing country. For example, in Jamaica they make a lot of jingles and they make a lot of commercials surrounding keeping our island clean, and this promotes a good environment and it boosts our tourism, and in the end, if our tourism sector is boosted, this is a way in which we can uplift and heighten our developing economy. Now, Agri Brown, he basically ran through and said that it is important to sustain the economic development in the Caribbean. He emphasizes the need of diversification of economies beyond traditional industries like tourism and agriculture. So by that, him just say it cannot be a case that for us to truly be developed, we should not only focus on agriculture and tourism, but other sectors too, so that we can boost, productivity and or development. Now, with this being said, what I want to know is what are some of the challenges that your country face as it relates to development?
One of the major challenges is unemployment. The unemployment rate back home is high, and that's because jobs are hard to find. As I said, it is a small country, and as we becoming more populated, more people, limited jobs, unemployment is one of the main problems we face.
And I believe that's a problem that the entire Caribbean faces, because most of the Caribbean countries, if not all of them, we are still in the developing stage and we are still having the issue of low employment. Probably it's a case that the country itself does not have enough jobs for the persons, or simply because persons are not, qualified for these set jobs. So that's a problem that we face, here in Jamaica as well. Moving on. What are some of the traditions or celebrations done in your country? Also, do you think that the media promotes these events?
Well, a celebration tradition that is unique to us is something called Nine Mornings, where the 9 mornings before Christmas, people come out on the road and just have a vibe. And yes, I think the media portrays that because even Barbados tried to do that, but it was unsuccessful. So yeah.
Okay. Agri Brown also highlighted the significance of Caribbean history in shaping cultural dynamics, heritage, and social norms. Now, with that being said, how has media evolved in your country? Is the case that you guys are still using print media, or is the case that we only use social media, or is it a mixture of both?
It's a mixture of both
Mm.
because newspapers are still being printed every Friday, and you still see people going and paying to get their newspaper. But these newspaper companies also have social media accounts where they post the news as well.
Yes, and I believe that in a time like this, it's important for us to utilize social media as a way to send out and broadcast news. Because here in Jamaica, the Jamaica Gleaner, for example, they have that's a company that does print media, and since recently, I don't buy print media. I rather to go online and follow them, and I get the news update just like if we did purchase the print media and stuff like that. And I think it's a better chance for us to, because guess what? Social media is free and it's available to everybody. Now, does your country incorporate local Creole in its media?
Um, Not really, no.
What do you mean by?
We try to use standard English because most people don't understand when we talk deep patois.
Oh,
Yeah.
so in that case, it's a case that they're in a crisis now where persons don't really understand the native language of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So probably what they could do as a way to better that situation, they can educate their residents or citizens more on what it is about and how it is taught. So they need to do that. That's a suggestion that I would give to them. Here in Jamaica, we currently use Creole in our commercials and stuff like that, but we still use standard English to get certain points across. So the last question we have for you tonight, Joshua, is what is one thing you would suggest the media in your country to promote Caribbean identity, or to promote the St. Vincent and Grenadines identity?
I would say focus more on our heritage, where we come from, rather than what the media wants to see.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so focus more and educate the citizens and persons more about the heritage, where you guys are coming from, history and all of that.
Yes.
That's a really, really good point. I want to thank you very much for joining me on this journey. We did talk about a lot, and I hope that you guys would have learned from this interview. Until next time, Joshua, hopefully there's a next time. Thank you.
No problem.
With everything that we would have discussed, it is evident that there is a Caribbean identity. What is interesting is that the definition of what Caribbean identity may be to a person is solely based off of where that person is from, the traditions and cultural norms that they have, the things in which they would have learned and observed. As it relates to Caribbean identity being persistent in media, some may argue that Caribbean media does not promote Caribbean identity, while some disagree. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, keep discussing and keep discovering.